Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I am Priscilla Phillips, and today's video is about first. I was hoping today's video was it's going to be about a follow-up to um, the visibility video I did on the importance of being visible as LGBT person and how that is the tool, the key and ingredient that we need in achieving all of our human rights goals, and as a tool in which we would use in building the conversations that we need to be building and being in the debates and in all of this conversation that has to do with our human rights, um, our human rights living standard. And having this understanding would help us know why it is crucial and above all of our fears that we are visible in all the ways that we ought to be, not just visible behind our phones and social media, but also being visible in person. On the other hand, I also have the nagging thoughts to discuss with you on accountability and why, as LGBT person and community, we need to have accountability as our leadership culture, and not just leadership culture but in our day-to-day culture. Because you all know that you probably watching this and don't like me because I have called somebody out that you're friends with, or you're a groupie to, or something. You just have some certain level of emotional sentiment towards them, which is fine and well, respected. And because of that, you just don't like me. Not because I have wronged you personally or individually, but just because I call people out and say, hey, this happened, that happened. We hear this member complaining of this, that they're not being treated right, um, with the funds that are being given to the funds that's being given to the organization, which is supposed to be used to address certain emergencies. What happened? Why? And nobody says anything. Nobody says a word. Why? Because Nigerians are shitty leaders. Nigerians are very, very, very irresponsible, shitty leaders who do not see the importance of responding to complaints or responding to disgruntled people. The people who they have been put to office to serve, and in this particular context, to people who you have created an organization to serve. However you look at it, you are serving a people, you are serving a community, so you owe it to them, and they are damn right to feel entitled to certain level of explanation. So when you don't give that explanation, you only show that you're a shitty leader. Now, people don't call you, or I don't call people because, oh, I want to question uh, how they are using the money for their personal gain or living. No. When I call people out or an organization, I am calling you to say there have been complaints of your own members towards the lack towards the lack of basic access to resources, which we know. Those of us who are in distance know that you're being given, or you've been empowered as an organization with funds to make certain things visible, but you don't do them. And when we call you out and to ask questions, or we ask you these questions, you don't say anything, you ignore. That doesn't say anything good about you as an organization leader. That doesn't say anything good about you as an executive director of whatever LGBT plus organization that you run, or that you are, in the position to make decisions that serve the community more. It's all in service. All that you do, it's all in service. And if you do not understand that, oh wow, I think you need to go back to your books of leadership. You need to understand that in the place of service, in the place of leadership, you are serving. Okay, so when people come and make and ask you questions and ask things or make inquiries, you owe it to them to respond. When we do not know, when we're not giving updates or being put in the loop of what resources are being done with what, how the fuck do you expect us to appreciate your work? How the hell do you expect us to appreciate your service? Like, we don't even know what you're doing with the resources, so how the fuck are we supposed to even be appreciative? You see how it all goes hand in hand? And you having an attitude of ignoring people's complaint, or the community members complain, or or you ignoring whatever disgruntled questioning that is being put up, or whatever with the use of whatever medium. It is in your place, okay? As a leader that have sense, it's in your place to respond. I mean, I think that's a part of PR that that should be done. But is it your place to respond as a decent human being? Even not, I mean, putting all form of, professionalism out of it. As just a decent human being, it is in your place to respond. It's in your place to educate people and say, look, this is what we have been doing. We have gotten certain resources, and this is the priority of what we are putting the resources to use, based on you, the community people, based on you, the community members, decision, or the votes of needs. That is what we're putting our resources in, on these resources into. And trust me, if I know what you're doing with the resources, I mean, basic information, I would know how best to even, have a conversation when another member is even questioning things. You wouldn't even probably necessarily have to, individually answer everybody if you have a system, a management a system that dishes out the information that these members ought to be abreast with. Remember, this money is not even yours. It's not mine. It's not any of the community members either. And it's not yours. And that is why it is mandatory that you, yes, you owe it to the community members to answer them those questions. And it's so sad that a lot of LGBT plus organizations or LBQ organizations don't have good leadership. You're being called out, the next minute the person is angry and upset and giving attitude and wondering why they're being questioned, because you are put in a place of service, darling. So you have to answer to the people you're serving. It is only in Nigeria that leadership means God. Only in Nigeria. That once somebody is in a place of leadership or any place of power, you cannot ask them things. You cannot question things. You cannot ask to even know, okay, you can't even do checks and balances with them, with Nigerian leaders. Even in the LGBT plus community leaders, you cannot do checks and balances. That is why you have things like that there, so that people know, and you yourself, you have accountability help not to go astray. Because hey, we humans. I mean, and you always say, oh, we're not perfect. So checks and balances are there to also help you. So why you think of getting irritated and upset next time, put it put it in your organization ethics to send out messages, update messages that carry what your organization have been doing with the resources they've been empowered with. For example, I sent out lots of emails to LGBT plus organizations in Nigeria and said, oh, okay, so we would love to have, information about what you're doing within your organizations to able to publish and follow up and give community members uh a space where they can get this pool of information from without you necessarily trying to address one each person at a time. You send this information. This is what organizations are ought to do. You send, okay, in this period, x period of time, we were empowered with this, with financial resources, and this is what we use the resources for. This will, like, you don't even approach the community members, aside you cherry picking friends and as leakers, I would say, to benefit in whatever scheme of empowerment that you're putting together. You do not send it out as a general information within the community. Like, that is how an organized, that's how a community is. That's how a community functions. So, the importance of accountability will help you as an LGBT leader be more appreciated by the community members, both from grassroots and up to the chain of the ladder. You will be appreciated by these people because they can now see they are being put in the know of what is being used for what, or what is happening. And like somebody said in the meeting I was earlier, I mean, I was super shocked that one person agrees with me on that. That leaders, LGBT leaders and LGBT organization needs and ought to be accountable and transparent with community members and with the leaders as well. And he pointed out that even that is why, in his observation, that is why Eastern LGBT organizations are progressing. Why? Because they have accountability. But no, you cannot talk to a Nigerian LGBT leader and ask them questions or call them out, however it might have been communicated, and they actually, meeting up to the expectation of leadership and showing up and responding, with the information being asked of. So the other time somebody was calling me disgruntled, I'm like, hell yeah, I am disgruntled. It's something, obviously, and that is why I'm expressing it, because I am disgruntled. It is in Nigeria that people cannot say, oh, I am displeased with this. It becomes a problem. You're being seen as a hater just because you're displeased, just because you have an alternative opinion, just because you have an unpopular opinion towards whatever it might be. Look, I always say this. I don't need to be your friend to praise you or to appreciate you or to even love you or show kindness or whatever. Neither do I need to be your enemy, so to say, before I can correct you, before I can scold you, before I can express my discomfort, or I can be disgruntled towards something that I do not find fitting that you have done. It's just what human beings do to become better, you know? And it will really, really, really do us as a community in the in the context of unity and being one voice to really imbibe in accountability amongst ourselves and with what we do with resources to the community members at large. I know I didn't plan to make this video about accountability, but I am strong about, sorry guys, I am strong about my thought towards it. And this has been the only reason I personally would ever question anybody, or would ever feel disgruntled towards any of the LGBT plus members within Nigerian space for any reason at all. Is that I want to know. I want to know. I mean, come on. We need to be accountable to each other. Is what I'm saying. We need to be accountable to each other. LGBT leaders need to be accountable to the community. that they serve. So, you know, let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about accountability within the LGBT community, accountability within LGBT leaders towards the community members, and just make your comments, about this. And I would probably make another video just to break things. But today is just me um, taking the first step into the conversation on accountability within the LGBT community.